Other interesting business news, you have Liquid Death now valued at $1.4 billion in a recent valuation, which is, again, the best example I could think of in terms of the power of branding and marketing. I mean, I usually I kind of just joke about Apple being all about marketing and branding, being one of the most profitable tech companies on the planet. I believe it's 2019, the most profitable business overall, which is astonishing to say the least. And Apple is pretty good. They got 50% profit margins, and people buy it because, in part, it has beautiful design, is very intuitive for a lot of people to use, but it's still extremely highly complex product that some of the best engineers on the planet work together to create. Now, the example of something being basically 110% marketing is Liquid Death. It is quite literally the idea, and wasn't even technically original, it was water in a can. Now, some might say it's a little bit fancier because it is from Austria. They also happen to make good pistols. But it's one of those instances where anyone else could have done this. It wasn't a proprietary idea. They couldn't put a patent on that. And in terms of the competition failing, Monster, they actually had cans of water, but it was only for musicians and professional athletes. So it looked like a Monster can, but it actually had water inside of it. And they didn't think maybe we should sell it to the public. Big lost opportunity. Now, that being said, I still think the biggest thing about Liquid Death is the branding, the idea, the allure of, Liquid Death. It sounds like a potion from Hogwarts or Harry Potter. And it quite literally was just the idea of water in a can. Now, in terms of marketing, again, going to the actual can design and the kind of unique dimensions, what I find fascinating from an aesthetics and a marketing perspective is actually the standard size. I know they have bigger cans now, but when it first initially came out, it came out in a 16.9 fluid ounce can, which, incidentally enough, is 0.9 fluid ounces greater than the most popular beverage can for energy drinks and I would say more kind of energy drinks and teas in general. That is overwhelmingly only 16 fluid ounces, and is one of those things where that 0.9 extra made the can about a centimeter taller than all the other cans on the shelf, which again helps it stand out a little bit more. They also have a little bit of the gold reflective paint on it, so it almost looks like a beer for the people who are, it's kind of a joke and people think it's a beer. It was just, it's brilliant marketing. And I'd say it tastes, I would argue maybe it tastes a little bit better with some of the additives and nutrients or the things that they put in there for, aesthetics and taste a little bit. But literally it's just water in a can. And then later they came out carbonated water in a can. So there's originally just water, then carbonated water. Then they came out with the carbonated flavors. The original three, I believe, were lime, mango, and cherry. Although incidentally enough, or interestingly enough, when I have people on the interview podcast, the most popular one that they request is usually the mango, which is pretty good. I think about 3 grams of sugar, and it's from agave nectar, not corn from Iowa or Illinois in the form of high fructose corn syrup. But again, I'm not too surprised to see they're actually going viral, and they're just becoming more and more popular. Their sales exponentially increasing, and they're seen on pretty much every social media podcast interview or every podcast show has a can in the background. And I wonder how many of those are actually paid brand ambassadors. They just do it because it's cool, or does it taste pretty good? But again, it's 110% a luxury item. Now, going to some of the actual finances of the recent fundraising round, they know that Liquid Death, this is thanks to a company's website by the name of fooddive.com, and specifically the writer is Kristen Daring, and they note that, quote, Liquid Death closed a $67 million financing round evaluating the company's beverage company at $1.4 billion. They know that the money will be used specifically to grow distribution nationally to meet demand and accelerate product innovation. The investments include contributions from national distributors, along with names in entertainment and sports such as actor Josh Brolin, no what that is, and NFL All-Star athlete DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think is it Anthony Hopkins' son or grandson? I don't know anyway, but they know that Liquid Death said it had $263 million in retail sales through registers in 2023. The fastest growing water and tea manufacturer posted triple-digit growth for the third consecutive year, according to Spin's data cited by the company, which is astronomical. Back in 2022, they actually raised $70 million, valuing the company at $700 million, and they just keep growing more and more. And their CEO is a brilliant marketing guru. This isn't by any means, I think this is his first independent venture, him going off and starting his own company, but he's had a long-term successful track record. Now, when asked for comment, Mike Cesario, he was the founder, he said, quote, Liquid Death has become the fastest growing and leading brand across the water, flavored sparkling water, and iced tea categories. We continue to see extremely strong consumer and retailer demand and are proud to have raised a strategic oversubscribed up round to fuel our growth, unquote. So it'll be interesting to see. Of course, one of the best they came up with the hashtag murder your thirst. And it looks like they also hired Goldman Sachs last summer to help them with an IPO. So that'll be interesting if they actually go with IPO as well. They've accomplished basically the impossible, which for beverages is getting shelf space and market share, which is, again, almost insurmountable. You look at Shark Tank, and the number one reason any of those beverages fails, the first thing they ask them is, how are you going to get on that shelf space? Because you're going to have to buy it or have such a overwhelmingly profitable, viral, demanding product that consumers really will go to that store just for that. Again, some companies take find years to get shelf space. It is the most difficult thing. Then distribution. And I don't want to say there's duopoly, but the largest beverage manufacturers kind of fall into two categories, PepsiCo or Coca-Cola, with most of the energy drinks and most of the teas. They have a majority of the market share, bar none. So it'll be interesting to see, does Liquid Death go for an IPO? What could their long-term growth be? Does competitors swoop in and buy a bunch of the stock? And perhaps they won't be voting shares of the stock, or it'll be Class B stock. Because, again, one of the only successful independent beverage companies I can think of in the past couple of decades were Red Bull Energy and Monster. Now, Monster, incidentally enough, is perhaps the only example I can think of in our lifetime of a successful penny stock. Whereas actually a penny stock, and again, they hit that market at the perfect timing. They were the most viral energy drink ever at the time. And they grew so much, Coca-Cola actually bought out and invested in the company and made a bunch of people millionaires. So it'll be interesting to see, does the same thing happen to Liquid Death? Really depends on who really wants to buy that market share. Or does Liquid Death just want to have the stock not be voting stock and the founder just stays in control of the company, they stay independent as long as possible? What do you think their long-term game is? Do you think they want to remain independent? Would you invest in them? Again, not financial advice, but as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, we're trying to get 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.